Throughout the dark, fragmented tapestry of human history, rumors exist of objects that possess a power so devastating, so completely beyond the technological capabilities of their eras, that they were classified not as machines, but as divine manifestations. Among all these anomalous relics, none commands more terror, obsession, and absolute secrecy than the Ark of the Covenant. Mainstream theology teaches us that the Ark was merely a sacred wooden chest built by the Israelites under the direction of Moses to carry the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments. It is presented as a symbolic religious artifact, a beautiful piece of ancient ritual furniture. But if you strip away the centuries of poetic religious filtering and analyze the explicit, raw, technical descriptions recorded in the ancient Hebrew texts, a deeply disturbing realization emerges. The Ark of the Covenant did not function like a religious symbol. It operated exactly like a highly volatile, weaponized electrical device. According to the strict blueprints delivered on Mount Sinai, the Ark was constructed from acacia wood, but it was completely overlaid, inside and out, with pure beaten gold. To any modern electrical engineer, this precise design immediately triggers a massive red flag. By layering a non-conductive material like wood between two highly conductive layers of gold, the ancients did not just build a box, they constructed a classic, textbook-laden jar, the earliest primitive form of a high-voltage electrical capacitor. The Ark was designed to accumulate, store, and discharge massive amounts of static electricity generated by the dry, friction-heavy environment of the desert winds. On top of this golden chest sat the mercy seat, flanked by two golden cherubim wings that stretched toward each other. These wings acted as the positive and negative terminals of a spark gap. When the electrical charge reached its maximum capacity, a blinding, crackling arc of pure plasma would erupt between the wings, a phenomenon the ancients terrifiedly named the Shekinah glory, the literal presence of God. This object was so incredibly dangerous that it could not be touched by bare hands. The priests were forced to carry it, using long wooden poles slid through golden rings, ensuring they remained insulated from the deadly voltage. Anyone who breached the strict safety protocols, anyone who touched the metallic surface of the chest, even by accident, was instantly struck down by a violent flash of fire that left no physical marks on their skin, a perfect clinical description of high-voltage electrocution. Today, Universal Files reopens this ancient engineering file. Was the Ark a gift from a divine creator, a remnant of a forgotten pre-reset technology, or an ancient energy device that humanity was never meant to control? Prepare to decode the blueprint of fire. If the Ark of the Covenant was merely a passive ritual container holding stone lore tablets, its historical journey through the brutal battlefields of the ancient Middle East becomes completely nonsensical. In the ancient records, the Ark was treated not as a religious icon to be prayed to, but as a strategic vanguard weapon of absolute destruction. When the Israelites marched across the scorching deserts, the Ark did not travel safely in the middle of the crowd. It marched 3 days ahead of the main army, clearing a path through hostile territories. It was covered in a heavy, specialized veil of blue cloth and animal skins, not to protect the sacred gold from dust, but to act as a radiation shield, protecting the people from a deadly, invisible field of energy that radiated from the object when it was fully active. The most terrifying demonstration of this destructive potential occurred at the ancient walled city of Jericho. According to the texts, the Israelite army did not lay a traditional military siege to the city. Instead, they carried the ark around the massive stone walls once a day for 6 days in total, accompanied by the blowing of ram's horns. On the 7th day, after circling the city 7 times, the horns blasted, the people shouted, and the colossal stone walls of Jericho did not just crumble, they collapsed outward, completely flattened, as if struck by a massive, high-frequency sonic shockwave or a targeted energy blast. The ark had resonated with the frequency of the Earth itself, shattering solid stone defense networks instantly. But the wrath of the ark was not selective. It punished anyone who disrespected its operational parameters. When the Philistines captured the ark in battle and placed it inside the temple of their god Dagon, they believed they had won a great trophy. Within days, their stone idol was found shattered into pieces. More chillingly, a mysterious, horrific plague swept through the Philistine cities that held the ark. The ancient texts describe people breaking out in agonizing tumors, hidden boils, and internal bleeding, while their crops were destroyed by swarms of mice. To a modern medical and nuclear historian, these descriptions do not sound like a biological virus. They sound exactly like acute radiation poisoning caused by a leaking, unshielded nuclear core. The ark was bleeding a silent, toxic energy into the environment, killing its captors from the inside out until they frantically returned the golden reactor to its rightful caretakers. It was a weapon that belonged to the gods, and humanity was bleeding just by standing near it. For centuries, the Ark of the Covenant remained a nomadic weapon, moving from tent to tent, spreading terror across the shifting sands of the desert. But when King Solomon ascended to the throne of Israel, the era of the wandering reactor came to an abrupt, heavily engineered end. Solomon, a ruler renowned in ancient esoteric lore, not just for his wisdom, but for his absolute command over hidden forces, spirits, and advanced architectural secrets, constructed a permanent containment facility for this volatile object, the First Temple of Jerusalem. Mainstream history views Solomon's temple as a magnificent house of worship, a masterwork of ancient masonry. But if you analyze the layout of the temple through the lens of modern hazardous material containment, the building reveals itself to be a multi-layered, heavily shielded isolation bunker designed to house a highly dangerous energy source. At the absolute center of this colossal stone complex sat the Kodesh HaKodeshim, the Holy of Holies. This was a perfect cube-shaped room, completely devoid of windows, sealed off from the rest of the world by thick stone walls and a massive heavy veil woven from purple and crimson linen. Inside this silent, pitch-black chamber, the floor and the walls were completely lined with sheets of pure gold. The ark was placed directly on a protruding piece of natural bedrock known as the foundation stone. To a modern industrial engineer, this entire setup is incredibly revealing. By enclosing the ark inside a windowless stone room lined entirely with gold, Solomon effectively constructed a massive Faraday cage. The gold lining absorbed the intense electromagnetic or radioactive frequencies radiating from the ark, grounding the dangerous energy directly into the bedrock of the mountain below, protecting the priests and the citizens of Jerusalem from silent, invisible exposure. The security protocols for this room were absolute. No one was permitted to enter the Holy of Holies under penalty of instant death except for the high priest, and he was only allowed inside once a year on Yom Kippur. Even then, the high priest had to undergo rigorous cleansing rituals, wear a specialized linen garment with no metal components, and burn a dense, chemically specific incense before stepping past the veil. This incense created a thick, heavy smoke screen that filled the room, acting as a primitive respiratory and visual shield against the ionization of the air caused by the active arc. Furthermore, a heavy golden rope was tied around the high priest's ankle before he entered. If he collapsed or was struck dead by an electrical discharge while inside the golden cube, his dead body could be dragged out from behind the veil without anyone else having to risk their lives by stepping inside. Solomon did not build a temple to pray. He built a fortress to cage a power that humanity could neither fully understand nor safely look at. In the year 586 BC, the geopolitical landscape of the ancient Near East fractured under the marching boots of the Babylonian Empire. King Nebuchadnezzar II brought his massive, unstoppable war machine to the gates of Jerusalem, laying a brutal siege that eventually breached the thick stone defenses of the holy city. The Babylonian soldiers flooded the streets, turning the magnificent palaces to ash and systematically dismantling King Solomon's temple, plundering its legendary wealth. The ancient texts provide meticulous, exhaustively detailed inventory lists of every single golden spoon, silver basin, and bronze pillar that the Babylonians looted and carried back to Babylon as trophies of war. Yet, Within these precise military and bureaucratic registries, there is a gaping, terrifying silence. The most important, most valuable, and most powerful object in the entire kingdom, the Ark of the Covenant, is never mentioned. It completely vanished from the pages of recorded history. How does a massive, solid gold-plated war reactor simply evaporate into thin air during a chaotic military invasion? The answer lies buried within the secret architectural sublayers of Jerusalem itself. Long before the first Babylonian siege tower appeared on the horizon, the caretakers of the Ark knew that the containment facility on Mount Moriah was vulnerable. According to hidden apocryphal records and deep rabbinic accounts, the Ark was not captured because it was never in the Holy of Holies when the Babylonians broke through the veil. It had been moved. King Solomon, anticipating the eventual downfall of his kingdom, had engineered a secret safeguard directly beneath the Temple Mount. Deep within the bedrock, miles below the surface, his builders had hollowed out a complex, labyrinthine network of escape tunnels, hidden vaults, and reinforced chambers. Using a complex counterweighted mechanical elevator system hidden beneath the foundation stone, the priests lowered the active golden chest into the deep subterranean dark just days before the city was surrounded. As Nebuchadnezzar's army burned the surface world, the Ark slid silently into a pre-engineered underground bunker sealed behind hundreds of tons of solid limestone blocks. The Babylonians plundered an empty cage. The real power remained asleep in the deep dark, waiting for a future era to wake it up, or perhaps waiting for a secret lineage of bloodline guardians to smuggle the weapon out of the dying city entirely. If the Ark of the Covenant remained buried forever within the deep subterranean bedrock of Jerusalem, it would be nothing more than a ghost story of a dead empire. But as we track the secret leak files of forbidden antiquity, the Golden Trail leads us away from the Middle East and directly into the rugged, isolated highlands of East Africa. In the ancient holy city of Aksum, Ethiopia, stands a small, heavily guarded building known as the Chapel of the Tablet at the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. Here, surrounded by spiked iron fences and guarded 24 hours a day by military snipers, lies the most terrifying rumor in modern archaeology. The Ethiopians claim they possess the actual living Ark of the Covenant, brought to their land nearly 3,000 years ago by Menelik I, the secret son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Mainstream historians dismiss this as a beautiful national myth. But if you look at the human cost of guarding this specific chapel, the poetic myth transforms into a clinical horror story. The Ark is not left unattended. It is guarded by a single specially chosen monk known as the Keeper of the Ark. Once appointed, this monk is forbidden from ever leaving the chapel grounds until the day he dies. He is the only human being allowed to look at or stand near the golden relic. And the physical condition of these successive keepers is deeply disturbing. Within just a few years of taking the job, every single keeper develops severe, rapid blindness, advanced cataracts, and a systematic decay of their internal organs. When independent journalists and physicians attempt to interview them, the monks calmly state that the divine fire of the Ark is consuming their flesh. To a modern nuclear expert, this is a terrifyingly accurate description of chronic radiation sickness. The golden shielding of the antique reactor has decayed over 3 millennia, and the active core is slowly leaking high-frequency ionizing energy into the small stone room, destroying the cells of the man forced to sit beside it. As we close this file of the Universal Archive, we must realize that the Ark of the Covenant was never a piece of primitive religious furniture. It was, and perhaps still is, a manifestation of a physics we are only beginning to rediscover. It is a reminder that the gods of our ancient world possessed a technology that could level cities, rewrite geography, and power entire empires. Whether it lies sleeping in a hidden bunker beneath Jerusalem or is slowly burning the life out of a lonely monk in the highlands of Ethiopia, the Ark remains the ultimate final seal. A technology so volatile that if it were ever fully weaponized or unplugged from its ancient grounding networks, it wouldn't just trigger another great reset on Earth. It would rip the very fabric of our engineered reality wide open. Access closed, for now.